Go.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Not just welcome, but I did want to say thank you for listening because, little secret, this episode is going to be released on Thanksgiving. And it's very important to have appreciation in our lives. And appreciation in all forms, in fact. I would like to definitely have more money, and so I'd like it to appreciate in value. I have actually, in the intervening week, become a crypto bro, and I'm going to create my own cryptocurrency, and I will tell people that they need to purchase it, and based on their trust in me, it will appreciate in value, and I will become a billionaire. Because that's all that matters in this country is billionaires. Anyway, wow. Let's get away from that definition of appreciation and let's talk about the actual appreciation and thanks. It is a thing that needs to happen more often. And in this case, something that I genuinely, truly, and gratefully want to say thank you for listening. Also, buy my crypto. FTX. Sam Bankman-Fried, is that a guy? Yes. Well, fuck that guy, and trust me, because I'm the only one that matters. Thank you. Welcome to Impetuosity, everybody. My name is Christian Miller. I am your host. This is a program where we have a free-form conversation with a very special guest. And then follow that up with a long-form improv story that is one continuous narrative rather than unconnected scenes, utilizing, in some cases, the details gleaned from the aforementioned conversation with a special guest. In a perfect world. Doesn't always happen. But in order to aid me in this storytelling, I do have a couple of improviser pals with me. So first, I'm going to introduce Matt Jamek. Did I got that right?
Yeah,
this time? Yes.
That's me. Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing just great.
Yeah. Are you? Do you have any investments in crypto?
I very much considered the Dogecoin when that was a thing, but just not a dog guy.
Yeah. Okay. What about Thanksgiving? As I said, as people are, I'm sure, running right to their devices and downloading this and listening to this on Thanksgiving Day to avoid their families. Big plans?
On the actual day, my plan is to do absolutely nothing.
Very similar to my plan, which is stuff myself silly with turkey and then do nothing. So, all right. Well, welcome, Mads. My other improviser pal that's here today is Ben Hummel. Welcome, Ben.
Hi.
And thank you.
Thank me?
Yeah,
For what?
well,
I haven't even done anything yet.
Well, you're here. You're willing to devote your time and effort to entertaining the masses.
Hello, masses. And you're welcome.
See, it's a two-way street. Thank you, and you're welcome.
Well, thank you for making all this happen. It's a lot of fun.
Wow. See,
Yeah.
but it really is important to have a lot more appreciation in our lives.
Mads, thank you, too, for everything.
Thank you, Ben, because Chris didn't thank me, and
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yikes.
See?
Yikes.
And this is what happens when you don't thank someone. It becomes the elephant in the room, and now all of a sudden I feel terrible.
Oh, maybe we just shouldn't thank anyone then for safety, so no one feels left out.
Yeah, that's actually probably a much safer way to do it. So we'll go with that. You know what, Mads? I take my thanks back from Ben. Therefore, now we are all at an even level. Although technically, I still have Ben's thanks. So,
and so
You'll
do
owe me
I.
one.
So we're still even.
I'll keep giving them out.
all right. No, I thank you both for being here. we have a very, very special guest today who totally is thrilled to be here. And that is a local superstar, academic, and all-around wonderful baker, hostess. I don't know. Anyway, it's Sara Levy. Hi. Welcome, Sara.
Thank
Some
you.
people might know her from being my wife.
I try to hide that usually in public.
Oh, do you have any big plans for Thanksgiving?
Yes. Trying not to yell at everybody this year is my big plan.
See, now we have that recorded and on tape, so I can play
I've
that back.
told everyone my big plan is not to over plan and then get frustrated and then yell at everyone to get out of the fucking kitchen like 30 minutes before we eat, which is usually what happens. Everyone being Chris, my stepkids, and my mother.
There's a lot of people to have in the kitchen, to be fair.
Especially our kitchen is
Our
pretty
kitchen's
small,
really small.
so it's understandable. And also, we're working on the not over planning things.
We're working on it.
Just in general.
Like in
No,
general.
just for
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving
Oh, I see.
dinner. I mean,
We're working on not over planning too many things that I decide I'm going to make from scratch
right.
on the day of.
I was not joking. She's an incredible baker, cook, prepares a lot of excellent things, but sometimes too many of them.
At one time.
Well, welcome. This is your first time in the hot seat after, she's been hounding me for weeks and months to get involved in this.
Can't even say that with a straight face.
I know. But I do appreciate this. You're taking the time for this. So
Yes, Sarah. Thank you.
see, thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you, Sarah.
See, everyone
You-
appreciates
everyone
me.
gets the thank you.
Well, thank you all for, I guess, inviting me into
Our
The
son's
studio.
room.
I was going to say Owen's room.
Yeah. See, we'll have good memories of it now instead of just arguments about shit all over the
Shit on
floor.
the floor.
There's still a lot of shit on the floor. to
There's
be
still,
fair.
but it's mostly Chris's
Most
shit.
of my stuff. Anyway, so we do have a task that you must fulfill now, and would you like to give me a number for a question to begin our conversation?
Sure. How about 114?
Before we get to that, I guess I will tell the story. Sorry. There was something I want to say about. So in the run up, I was helping prep Sara to fulfill her duties as a podcast guest on this podcast. And I said, do you have a number? And I can just, give you an example of what one question might be like. And she chose a number, and that number happened to be a question about what happens if the Supreme Court gets rid of Roe versus Wade. Which reminds me, and one of the reasons I want to say this is that the podcast that these questions come from, if you're listening to this, I'm sure you would appreciate it's called Spontaneous Nation with Paul F. Tompkins. And one of the things that, as I was listening to an episode more recently, it was something that was on from like 2015 through 2019. And listening back to them now, especially the ones in 2015, where they were, as an aside, they're like, hey, can you believe this, nut job is running for president? And it was it's like a return to a sweeter, simpler time. And so that also reminds me about why that question is mentioned that way, is because it was something that had not been decided as of that time. So
Yeah, there's a lot of media that no longer holds up because it's the idea of what's too crazy to actually happen is just completely off.
Listening to things from that time period is I just like, you want to yell through the headphones or whatever you're listening to it on and being like, shut up, it can get so much worse, just pay attention, please. Anyway, sorry, that's a little
Fun,
aside.
fun improv, funny
Yeah,
funny
fun
improv jokes.
podcast.
Yeah,
Fun
so it's
podcast
just it's
time.
anyway.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Barbie.
Barbie who?
Barbecue. There we go. Back on track.
All right. So 114 was the number that you selected.
Sure.
I think. Would you like to change your mind?
No, I think it was
Okay.
114.
114. So the question is, what is the most embarrassed you've ever been?
I mean, there's just so many times.
Was it a Thanksgiving Day?
No, those are rage filled. The most embarrassed I've ever been, like ever.
I mean, we don't need a list of the top 10. It's just whatever comes to mind.
They're all terrible. It was pretty bad when I was like 7, and that's how I found out I got sick on airplanes. Was when I puked as the airplane was landing. But we were sitting like towards the front of the plane, and so I just had to sit there and wait for everybody to get off before I could get like cleaned up. That was pretty embarrassing, especially when you're like 7 and you're sitting next to your brother who's laughing at you and covered in puke with like some scratchy airplane blanket from like the 80s. That was pretty bad.
Are you someone who gets embarrassed easily?
I mean, not anymore unless you do something.
I mean, I am pretty
And
embarrassing.
at this point, it's kind of all just kind of like, it's fine. That's just Chris. So
What's the word for like embarrassed on behalf of another person?
there's got to be a German
Yeah,
word
no,
for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else? You said there were so many. Like,
I mean, the most recent one was the time when I tripped and fell at work and broke my hip.
yeah. See that? Yeah, there you go.
That was like 10 months ago. I definitely tripped and fell like into a door in front of prospective parents. Like people had brought their kids to a college to like see if they wanted to go there. Except then this lady with a backpack, like awkwardly fell into a building, like through like a door somebody was holding open. I fell like 6 feet forward and then was stuck on the ground and couldn't get up because of the part where I had broken my hip. And so like all of these people are standing around because of course it was the building where you go in and out of for the tour with your 17-year-old child. So there's like nervous parents and awkward. I mean, they're probably actually more embarrassed than I was. Let's be honest. They were like 17 and with their parents. So it's just naturally embarrassing time. Yeah, that was pretty embarrassing. Then one of the dads decided that he was going to like take my mind off things by like talking to me. And he's like, so how do you like working here? And I was like, it was very kind. But like, also I felt like I needed to be kind because, you know, you want him to send his kid there because, you know, ultimately you want students. So I was trying to be nice. And mostly it's just like, dude, this is not helping because I can't get off the ground. And that was what I was mostly thinking about. That was pretty embarrassing, falling in front of a bunch of my colleagues and prospective parents into a meeting and needing the ambulance to come and get me. Because
that'll do it. That'll do it.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of something embarrassing that didn't involve like physical ailment or fiasco.
What about, is there anything that maybe you weren't embarrassed by at the time, but looking back on it, you are embarrassed about?
I mean, there were some good hairstyles. There were some good eyeglasses. There were times I should have been embarrassed and wasn't. That my mother would wish that I was now embarrassed by. Like the time when I didn't want I decided that rules sometimes don't apply to me. Actually, much of my life is just Sarah deciding that sometimes rules don't apply to her that she deems sexist. Although... So I didn't, to go into like the Vatican or something. We were in Rome and it was like, oh, if you're going to go into this building, and I think it was the Vatican, you're supposed to like cover your shoulders, but it's like 1,000 degrees in Italy. And I was like, no, like I don't want to wear a sweater. It's too hot. And it's sexist. And why can't I show my shoulders? And I don't know. But it wasn't like I was 7 in this scenario. I was significantly older than that. So I'm sure at that time.
How much older?
Oh, I was in my 30s.
And did you bring the Roman Catholic Church down to its knees with your
Nope.
display of?
Nope. I brought my mother into like significant rage. I think. But yeah. So there were times when I should have. Other people wanted me to be embarrassed, but no. I think mostly at this point it's the clothes, the hair, the eyeglasses.
What about the clothes or the hair?
I mean, it was the 80s.
So, yeah, but everyone was like that. Like, I mean, so it's looking back on it.
Looking back, there was some where it was like, that was not a flattering look. Just because people were wearing it doesn't mean that like it really was the best for you. So there's, yeah. And I always had like the biggest eyeglasses because I started wearing glasses when I was like 6. And so they were like huge and terrible and like often cockeyed because my brother and I would fight. And my mother would scream upstairs to take off our glasses before we fought because she didn't really care if we kind of like banged each other up. But to get eyeglasses fixed at that time was really a pain in the butt. You had to like drive across like wherever and wait. She hated it. So the eyeglasses were usually cockeyed in like a large blue plastic frame or a large purple plastic frame. And I didn't really understand that my hair was curly. So mostly it was just large.
Again, like most people's hair at that time. I mean, there were, I think, competitions for elevation above the head at the.
Mine was what's the opposite of not elevation up, but elevation out.
Oh.
It was more wide than tall. It was quite wide. It was a very wide hair.
Did you have triangle hair?
I did.
Because that's what I used to have.
It's
terrible scourge.
It would go like from the top of my head to my shoulders, and it was a triangle. There was a time when I didn't understand you had to brush underneath the hair and cut it not so bad. I just cut it out. Again, didn't tell my mother, just kind of hid the evidence because we weren't allowed to cut hair. That was very bad. This ends up making it look like my mother's a terrible person. She's actually a lovely person, but
I mean, the theme here has been your mother yelling at you, or you yelling at your mother for Thanksgiving. Like, it's.
I'm realizing
I can
now.
attest that it is a very loving relationship currently. I mean, again, I don't know how it was.
I think
decades
a
ago.
trial. Most stories in my family involved this terrible thing Sarah did. This obnoxious thing Sarah did. This obnoxious thing Sarah said to a person she shouldn't have said.
What do you have siblings? Like, what birth order are you?
I'm the oldest. I have a brother who's 3.5 years younger, and he just was always like fine. He was just fine.
You were the trailblazer.
Yes. At one point, he was like, "Why do you always start fights?" And I was like, "Principles."
Well, you did everything bad, so he didn't have to.
Right.
You know? He couldn't, be worse necessarily. So he didn't have to do it.
Yeah. No, he was exactly. I was the problem child, and he just got to be.
Well, he's also a very kind of go along and get along.
Yes.
Like, oh, you need me to cover my shoulder? But then again, they didn't need him to cover his shoulders.
Right.
I'm sure. So that was unfair, and therefore, worthy of some battling. I'm sure.
Thanks, honey. Usually, you side with my mother.
Well, that's when you're battling when you're yelling at me. She sides with me. Actually, I don't know that I side with her that much.
No, she does love you.
Well, I'm lovable.
Yeah.
What can I say? Well, let me turn this now to our other guests here. Most embarrassed you've ever been?
Well, the one that came to my mind, it's probably not number one. Like, I never know what my true number one is, but I have one that came to mind, which was pretty embarrassing, which is when I was the way too old age of 17, and I was fishing at my grandparents' lake cottage, and I hooked myself in the back of the head casting my fishing rod. It didn't hurt. It just got stuck. Like, I couldn't get it out. It did have a worm on it, a live worm.
Did that worm crawl into your head and now you have a brain worm?
Sometimes I wonder, like Animorphs, what are they called? those slugs that go
Yeah.
in their ears. I can't remember. So I went upstairs to the cottage and I found my dad and I was like, hey, it's kind of annoying. Like I got this thing stuck in my head. And I just got ridiculed by like all my extended family was there. Of course, that's what you should do. And my dad like couldn't get it out. He at one point he was like, okay, I'm really gonna go for it. I think he got a pair of pliers and he's like, okay, like brace yourself, I'm really gonna go for it.
How
And,
did this not hurt?
well, this one did. The one where he went for it. It really hurt. And he
Wait,
was like,
so whereabouts in the back of your head are we talking? Like
it was kind of like in the center, center.
in the muscle part of where your neck is, or like up against bone?
No, up against bone. It was just in the scalp,
Okay.
thin layer of flesh, and I don't even think it was bleeding. Like it wasn't a bad injury. It was just like it's really taut skin there, and like the way the hook has a little barb in it on the end, it like got stuck. My dad couldn't get it out, and we were like, okay, I guess we gotta go to the ER. I think it might have been a holiday too, because I mean it probably was because we were at the cottage. I can't remember. I remember like really wishing I could just hang out with my family, being like, okay. And I felt so silly being in the ER because I wasn't in any kind of pain or discomfort. I just was, we clipped the line. I didn't bring the fishing pole in. And I do think my dad got the worm off. So it was just a hook and some fishing line dangling from my head. And we walked in and my dad and I were just like, hey, I got this hook. And we had to wait for hours in the ER. And we were in great moods. We were in good spirits. We were like, I think we had a deck of cards somehow. We were playing cards. We were laughing. We were joking. And of course, it's the ER. It's a really bleak place. A lot of people are having real problems. Most people there, I would say, are having real problems.
No, you had a hook in your head.
I had a
That's
hook
a
in my
real
head.
problem.
And the guy, finally, we got to see someone. And he just like clipped the barb and yanked it. He put a little anesthesia like local, and got it. I saw him for less than 2 minutes, and then he put something on it, put a Band-Aid on it. It was like, see ya. So that was pretty embarrassing because I wasn't like 6, you know. I'd been fishing my whole life. I don't know what happened. I'm not going to justify it by the wind blew wrong.
Yeah,
I'm probably
yeah.
just bad with a fishing rod.
It happens to people.
You can't tell that.
So-
What people, Chris?
I happen to know someone that is very close who at one point got a fish hook while we were fishing together. Got a fish hook stuck in their finger, and I was just like, well, I can just pull it out. Right, it'll be fine.
I'm sorry. Every time, for the listeners, any of us are talking about pulling a hook out, Mad's whole body is like seizing up, and they're
There's a
like,
reason I could never be a doctor. This stuff I
sorry,
hate it.
sorry for that.
Anyway,
Well,
no,
let's avoid like the deep description.
Well, right. So, I mean, well,
Yeah, what's
the
the 5-year-old version? Like the version you would tell a 5-year-old.
this person ended up going to the ER or to the urgent care, and to this day takes me to task because I said I'm just going to yank it, and when we got to the urgent care, they said it's a good thing you didn't yank it. It's actually hooked around a nerve in your finger.
Mads isn't going to be able to complete the rest of the podcast.
Anyway, they did local anesthetic and cut it and pulled it out the other side, so it was all fine. It just could have resulted in permanent damage. The end.
Thank you for making me feel better about my situations. No
No,
one
I'm
did
sure
that
that
in
this
my
is something
family.
that happens all the
All the
time.
time.
When it happened, no one was doing this. Everyone was just giving me shit for it, which is appropriate. But now
That's your family, though.
that's true.
I think there was also some shit given in this situation, but also the person with the hook in the finger, I think it hurt. Like, I think that possibly.
Hook in the finger sounds like it would hurt. Hook in the back of the head, there's not a lot of nerves
It wasn't.
back there.
I mean, I think it hurt.
Some.
Somewhat, but the prospect of moving it at all, I think, was the bigger issue.
Yeah.
Like, anyway,
Well, pretty embarrassing for us both.
yes. So, anything that does not relate to body horror?
No body horror. The first story that came to mind for me is, all right, there's a little bit of backstory. So I grew up going into international schools, and when I was in high school, I was at an international school in Berlin, Germany. And my class was very, very white, and I am a white person. But our theater teacher decided to put on High School Musical, which does star a Latina lead, who I was cast as. And that's just relevant backstory to why I was in this role. And we were rehearsing the finale of the show, which, if you don't know, it's a song called Breaking Free. And it's like the big climactic moment. The character I was, Gabriella, like comes back from her science competition and like breaks out in a solo. So I come out, I'm wearing a lab coat, and I sing like Breaking Free and throw the lab coat off, and everyone just stops and starts laughing. And my theater teacher goes like, "Oh, Mads, it's not that kind of show." Apparently the way I did it just really made it look like I was stripping. So that I did not know what I had done at the time, but that did stick with me till I graduated, and still today, like 16 years later.
So still, whenever you think about it, you get that like. Ooh.
Oh yeah, just the and also we're talking about like the triangle hair. Oh, it was so big, so big.
Yeah.
Yeah, those moments where you like really put yourself out there and just get like, oh, I don't
Exactly.
think so.
Like I was in it.
Yeah.
I was singing. I'd finally memorized the song, which I'm not good at. That's why I do improv. and then just.
But you got cast as the lead.
Well, I actually had at first been cast as Taylor, the black best friend. Again, very white school. But the actual girl who had been cast as the lead didn't want her first kiss to be on stage, so she stepped down. So I got promoted.
That's adorable.
It's
Aw.
really
You were like,
cute.
I'll do it.
Yeah, they just were like, "You can sing, go."
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty embarrassing.
I mean, that's why I did stage crew. There's so many things that end up embarrassing.
So
Middle school.
I
What's
have
yours?
one or two or three. Well, it's because I already I don't want to feel like I'm one-upping people, but I think I've had something similar to every one of yours. I mean, the fishhook thing was not me, other than the fact that I'm embarrassed that I almost maimed this person, or could have, permanently
altered their finger.
physiology, or their ability to close their hand, I guess. But I did also, one embarrassing thing was when I was in second grade, we were going on a field trip. I don't remember to where, but as we were getting on the bus, I was just going to sit down, and then I vomited all over the seat, and it was Apple Jacks.
Oh no.
And to this day, I can't see or hear or think of Apple Jacks without them causing me a physical reaction. But also, it was very embarrassing to be a second grader, and they had to like clear the bus and then disinfect the bus, and then I ended up, because I was sick, I ended up going to the nurse's office, so I didn't even get to go on the field trip. But I think everyone else did. It would have been worse if like it had been a biohazard, and so then they had to cancel the field trip entirely.
All right, I'm bracing myself for an evening of vomit-based improv.
Or
Just
body
focus on
horror.
the Applejack situation, which is what the kids focus on
Yeah.
when they want to really get the Chris.
Dad, should we get some
Apple Jacks when we're
at the store? No.
I'm
And
really
then-
sorry I started this.
And then
Let's all share our vomit stories.
speaking of like high school drama, so I was on the indoor track team, but I hated it. So when I saw that they were casting for the play during my senior year, I was like, well, if I go do that, then I can quit the indoor track team. And so I went and I got cast. Well, we had to do a monologue. I totally screwed it up. I'd never done any theater or anything before. And I went to look at the lists and when they posted who got what, and I was like, the only person that I knew that didn't make it. And then like 3 days later, someone was like, why didn't you come to rehearsal today? I was like, I didn't make it. And I went back and I talked to the person. They're like, oh, we thought you were someone else.
Oh no.
You actually are cast. Possibly, unfortunately, because this was a new drama teacher. It was the first year that he was at our very white, I mean, in the middle of a cornfield. Our nickname in the area was Cow Pie High.
Oh wow.
And he was determined to shake things up. So he decided to do the, are you familiar with the story of Oedipus Rex?
Somewhat.
It's about a Greek, I think, king who, in the course of the play, ends up killing his father and sleeping with his mother. Well, we did that, except that he decided that it was going to be, that we were going to do the version of it, because it was an actual play that had been out there, that was set on the plains of Africa.
It's a choice.
I thought you were gonna say they took away the parts that were inappropriate, like sleeping.
Oh,
with his
no,
mother.
no. All
They
those things
kept
stayed.
that
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
also put it in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So I was chief number 3. We all had our uniform for everyone in the play was black bike shorts and black t-shirts and then paper mache masks. We all had to go out and get a 8-foot wooden dowel that was painted black, and so that we could do our quote unquote dances with them that frequently went throughout the in the scene changes, and it'd be like, okay, now we're getting up and doing this intricate quote unquote African dance.
So is your most embarrassing moment that you almost didn't make it, or that you did make it?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, I was embarrassed when I tried out, because I could tell I was so terrible. They were like, prepare a monologue. Why I do improv is I can't memorize anything. And so, like, that was terrible. And then thinking that that I had not made it was terrible. And then having to have the teacher be like, no, like, obviously the teacher doesn't know who I am. So that's terrible. And then I get in it and it's like,
The whole thing is terrible.
This is terrible. And when I look back on it, racist and, just like impossible.
It really is making my very German high school doing High School Musical seem way less bad.
Oh, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
But I have a ton of other embarrassing stories. But in the interest of time, I think maybe we should wrap that up, because I was also going to tell the story about how I got how the horse maimed me. how I bombed with my comedy group in front of a nationally recognized comic when we were opening for her. Like, I think my life is the story is one of embarrassment.
Yep.
So anyway, on that note, let's wrap it up. we got a lot to work with here.
He's immune now to embarrassment.
You're still here, still thriving.
You would think,
know?
right? My God, like exposure therapy. I should
Yeah.
be immune completely to embarrassment.
So
but
email in with your best attempts. You will not get to it.
just do not include Apple Jacks in the mail. So, all right. Well, thank you all very much for our conversation. Thank you, Sarah, for being a good sport and getting us started here and giving us some really great embarrassing moments.
Really, I think the focus on triangle hair and less focus on body horror is the way to go.
Well,
But that's just me.
Yeah. Would you like to stay for the improv? You can be part of the improv if you want.
I don't think I'm good at that.
All right. Well,
Did we get a vote?
Stay.
all right. So, all right. Well, when we come back, we're going to get a location from our special guest, and then we're going to do some improv. So stick around. Please don't go anywhere. And thank you.
Today, Impetuosity is sponsored by Human Blinders. Put on your human blinders, and whenever someone is vomiting around you, you won't hear or see it.
Oh no, Chris. I think I'm gonna hurl.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, well, now you're going to make me hurl. Oh,
Chris, hold on. Put on your human blinders.
But I think he already hurled. I heard it.
right. But I mean, we're going to keep going. We don't want to keep going. Here. All right. Hey, Mads, how you doing? What's going on over there with Ben? I can't see what's going on.
I can't see or hear Ben or you.
I need help. I actually need to go to the hospital, guys.
The amazing thing about these blinders is that apparently they also cause us not to be able to hear anything.
I think I'm seriously dehydrated. Like, really, really tired.
I don't know what's going on with Ben. I hope he's okay.
Me neither, but I'm just really glad we're not hurling.
Me too. That's so embarrassing. Have you ever hurled in front of someone? That's like the worst.
It's the absolute worst, and with my human blinders, it'll never happen again.
That's right. We're going to stop this epidemic of vomiting that's been sweeping this nation. Excellent job. Thank you, human blinders.
Thanks, human blinders.
I just wish I had a friend to hold my hand.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Impetuosity. Thank you for sticking around. And also, please buy from our sponsor to keep us going. You know, we need those sponsor dollars from whatever ad they choose to put in this week will be.
Thank you for buying from our sponsors.
Yeah, thank you.
We really vet them very carefully. Like we only put products in front of you guys that we would love ourselves.
Right.
We don't want you guys to get scammed. These are top notch.
Yep. We use every single one of the products. They send them to us for free as a bonus to all of the many thousands of sponsor dollars. So, all right. Well, we're gonna move on to telling you a little bit of a story, but before we do that, we have to tell you about the sound effects that will be being used to move us about in space and time. So, as we're telling our story, if we want to move in space but not time, so perhaps a cut to or meanwhile, we'll hear this sound effect. Whoosh, now we're over there. And if we want to go into the past for any reason, if we want to learn how something came to be or find out, well, what happened in the past, then we'll use this into the past sound effect. Let's try that one again. Yes, there we go. And finally, if we need to get back to the present from the past or just move into the future, we'll use this into the future sound effect.
Fully diminished seventh chord arpeggiated for the music theory nerds out there.
Which is, I mean, exactly what you'd expect for something that was taking you into the future, right? Arpeggiated something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So now everyone understands the sound effects. We can get the location provided to us by our special guest. We do a little shuffle here. All right. So the location to begin our improv provided to us by our special guest, Sara Levy. She went with the same number that she used for the question, which is 114. So that location is ice cream shop in the winter. Ice cream shop in the winter. We take you now to an ice cream shop in the winter.
Ma'am, you have to cover your shoulders at this ice cream parlor. It's quite indecent.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's really, really warm in here.
It's not about the temperature, actually. It's about human decency. This is my buddy Buster here behind the cash register with me. Do you see how he can't stop staring at your shoulders?
Oh my God! Oh, what is going on, Daniel? You said that this place was gonna be, a nice religious ice cream shop, but we can't be. I mean, we do have the temperature, heat up to about 90 in here. It is working terribly on the ice cream, but also causing all this scantily clad people around.
Buster, I am trying my best to create a wholesome family environment here. It is not me, okay? It is people like this coming into our ice cream shop with shoulders out, with reflecting the sunlight off of them.
I just have to point out that Buster here also has his shoulders out. And this doesn't seem very equitable to me. I've been out working on the construction site all day, and he's just in here slinging ice cream. I feel like I should be able to have my shoulders out, too.
Buster, I have to say she makes a good point.
Well, I mean, sun's out, guns out. That's literally what my shirt says. I mean, I can't go against my shirt.
But aren't we all seeing the hypocrisy here? How can we be telling someone to cover their shoulders when we ourselves have our shoulders uncovered? I mean, I'm wearing a tank top.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's your uniform here, is just shoulders out all the time.
I gotta say, Daniel, this is quite a turnaround for you, since you were busting the customers' chops there for having shoulders out, and here that just doesn't seem very nice.
Well, that's just how I am. As soon as I decide that I believe something, that just becomes my belief, and there's no looking back. So from now on, everyone's shoulders are out. That's what I say.
Okay, but
Higgins, take your shoulders out.
Oh yeah, I will.
Oh, I think that it's great that you came around and we can stop busting customers' chops. And Higgins there, I mean, he seemed like he was gonna sweat to death in that sweater. So
I almost did. Thank you for making this change.
But I gotta ask, what's the owner, Mr. McGuffin, gonna do when he hears about how you are making these unilateral changes?
Well, I heard that some big changes happened down at the shop today.
Sir, I have to admit I made some changes, but I did it because of my beliefs and my principles about equity and human equality and being good people.
Now, Jeffrey, that doesn't seem to be the same beliefs that you came into my shop 2 weeks ago telling me about your strong belief in Christian ministry.
Now, in addition to changing my beliefs, I also changed my name accordingly. It is Daniel now. I did tell you as Jeffrey, but in addition to changing my perspective on shoulders, I've also changed my name just to get you up to speed. I'll probably change something else by the end of this conversation.
All right, Daniel, if you did want to change something else about yourself, I would look at that mustache. I don't think it's working for you, son.
You know what? No more mustaches. Hey, Higgins, shave your mustache.
Okay.
Jeffrey.
It's
Oh, wait.
Daniel now.
Jeffrey, that's your God-given name is Jeffrey. Why would you go and change to Daniel?
You know what, Mom? Just for that, it's Betsy, okay? I'm Betsy now.
Well, I mean, but on the day you were born, I looked at you and I said, that's gotta be my little boy Jeffrey. But why would you do that?
Look, it's not personal to you, Mom. It's just that I just have this thing where whenever I get a new idea, it just becomes my entire identity. I can't go back. I can't half-ass it. I can't even consider another alternative.
Look at how hard the snow's coming down, Jeff. Sorry, Betsy. I do love you. So,
Thanks, Mom.
But someone needs to go out and blow all that snow. But who could possibly do that?
Is that why you called me over, Mom?
Well, I mean, it's not why I called you over.
I thought you wanted to hang out. You know what? From now on, I hate my mom. No more relationship with my mom. Higgins! Delete your mom from your contacts.
Oh, my mom? Okay.
And my mom, if she's in there.
Yeah, we text a lot.
You can't take Higgins away from me. He's the one who takes me out for Sunday drive every week when you don't come home.
You and Higgins? Why? My coworker at the ice cream shop? That's so weird.
Well, I mean, he's taken to wearing a lot of tank tops recently. I don't know why, but it is a mighty nice sight.
I guess I didn't really stop and think why he was here at your house.
We have a nice time together.
God.
Oh, Higgins, can I, ride shotgun this time in your Camaro? I don't want to be in the back seat this time.
Mrs.
Oh, no. Call me Darlene.
Arlene.
Yeah.
Oh, Darlene, I never thought you'd ask.
I'm starting to feel a little uncomfortable with this conversation, Mom.
Well, you're the one who said you never want to have contact with me again, so I guess I'm just going to have to spend all my time with Higgins.
That's right, I don't. I forgot. I'm out. And now, it's Jordan. My name's Jordan.
So now your name's Jordan. You have to wear tank top. Everyone has to wear tank tops, and I'm not supposed to talk to your mother anymore.
Yeah, I really appreciate you keeping up with my latest, blog posts. It means a lot. Like, not everyone takes the time to do that. I really appreciate it.
Okay, well, I mean, you have the number one D&D blog out there, and so I don't care for when you mix your personal life with your dungeon mastering duties, but in order to get to the good posts, I have to read all the crappy ones too. But it's a choice.
Well, I just it was my best way to get the word out there. I change my mind on things a lot, and I don't really have a good channel besides my D&D channel. So,
well, I mean, your blog is littered with life-changing decisions. It seems like every day or every week at least you're changing something from one to another. You got yes tank tops, no tank tops. You got Jeffrey. You got Daniel. You got mom yes, mom no. I mean, maybe have you ever thought about maybe just kind of having some principles and sticking with them?
Principles are all I have, Tom. I just pick new ones every once in a while. Do you have a problem with that?
Oh, you better believe I have a problem with it. I've had a problem with it for a long time. Hey, Mom.
Yes, Thomas?
I think that I'm going to decide, you know what? Blow pops. None of those Tootsie Roll pops. I want blow pops only. Final answer for the rest of time. Nothing but blow pops. Get these Tootsie Roll pops out of here.
Thomas, but you love Tootsie Roll Pops.
Nope. I made up my mind. I'm changing it. This is the way it will be forever and ever.
Now, Thomas, I really appreciate how principled you are, but have you considered that you could have both?
Don't need them. That's the importance of principles. I hope I never encounter anyone who's just wishy-washy with their principles, because I will seriously stomp them if I do.
Mr. Manager.
Yes, God, what's your name this time?
Well, it was Betsy after I talked to you, just to catch you up. It's not Betsy anymore, but briefly it was Betsy. Now it's Jordan.
All right, Jordan, you're really going through our name tag budget.
That's why I'm here, sir. Am I too much? Do you think am I driving everyone crazy?
Now, Jordan, I really appreciate you here as my shift manager. You've done a very good job whipping Tom and Higgins into shape. Without you, they were completely lost.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, sir.
But you do seem to bring controversy into the ice cream shop. I do think the 90-degree weather that you bring indoors is a little inappropriate.
It's also terrible for the budget.
Yes, it is very terrible for the budget. Paulette here has been running the numbers on both the temperature and the name tags.
We turn all the ice cream into soup, and we can't serve it to the customers.
I have been iterating on a new product of ice cream soup, but if you can't sell that, we're going to need to make some changes.
All right, you know what? We freeze the place now. It's all cold. Higgins, get a coat.
Okay.
No. See there, I'm doing it again. I just need to learn to just sit tight and just go with the flow and not be so principled about everything.
Jordan it is now, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you got any more changes? Because I'm ready to stomp you if you can't live with your principles.
Tom, I just have one more principle. We're not friends anymore, Tom. Never again. Because if I can't have my principles, then what am I?
I don't know that your principles are, that you have them necessarily, as much as you are just sort of like filtering through them on a daily basis.
Hey, I've
had the same principle about blow pops versus Tootsie Roll Pops since I was 7.
And where has that gotten you, Tom?
I've had more blow pops than anyone in the world. I got that world record. I got the Guinness people coming next week to verify it. How many Guinness records do you have for principles or lack thereof?
I don't have any. I don't have anything. I thought I could put on a brave face. I've been thinking about this. I really have. Everyone in my life's got me questioning myself. Now you, my best friend, you're telling me that I have to stop making my mind about things, and all I know how to do is make up my mind about things.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you support me in my Guinness Book of World Record verification of most blow pops in a life, then I will teach you how to be more stick to your principles, and you will have a much easier and much more satisfying life.
What do I need to do?
Stop changing your...
No, what do you need help with your Guinness records? What's my role? How do I help you?
Well, you need to help me count it. See, in order to verify it, I kept all of the sticks from my not Tootsie Pops, from only blow pops.
Ew, it's like moldy. It smells awful. They're all sticky. How old is this?
Oh yeah, they're quite moldy too. You're okay though. Like, that's not going to cause a problem, is it?
No, I'm chill.
Okay. All right.
So I need to count all these gross sticky sticks?
Mm-hmm. Bundle them in groups of 100. I mean, there's probably well over 40,000 here. So it's going to take you a little while.
40,000. Okay. All right. I'll just take them over here. Sorry, my phone keeps going off. I posted something on my D&D group today about my new principles, and everyone's giving me their feedback. I don't know what to think. All right, I'm going to count. Don't interrupt me. No one interrupt. Nope. You know what? It's okay. You can interrupt me if you need. It's fine.
Now, what do we have here? I'm here to count up all these blow pops and see if we can get you right into that Guinness Book of World Records. All right, Thomas?
That's what you're here for. I got my friend, Jordan.
You know what? It's Jeffrey.
But that's your original name.
Yes. I've changed.
You're going to stick with Jeffrey?
Yes.
So my plan worked. By taking you out of your conscious mind, by counting 40,000 blow pop sticks, it's made you not think about how to change your mind. I'm a genius.
That's right. And I'm going to be a blow pop stick counter, just like my mom always wanted me to be since I was born. That was my destiny all along. Just like my name, Jeffrey. And there were 40,012, Mr. Inspector.
Oh, 40,012. Well, Thomas, I came out here thinking that we wouldn't get anything out of this meeting, but 40,012 beats the current record of 40,008. So congratulations.
Well, and guess what? I got one right here, so we're going to make that 40,013 in just a minute.
All right, 40,013. I will inscribe that on your Guinness Book of World Records plaque, and we'll get that in the 2025 edition.
Wow, he just inscribed it right here in front of you.
I mean, that's the kind of life when you live a principled, stick to your guns kind of life. That's the kind of life you can lead. What do you want to do with your life now?
Well, I don't know. No, I've never really thought long term, but beyond like a week at a time. I guess the world's my oyster. But for now, I think I'll just go back to the ice cream shop, set it to a normal temperature, and let our customers wear whatever they want.
It's times like these that bring a little tear to my eye. Hey, by the way, whatever happened with your mom and Higgins?
Hey, Higgy baby.
Darlene, this was the best Sunday drive we've ever had.
Oh, I love it, just being cuddled up against you in the crook of your arm while you're driving your Camaro. Oh, it's so wonderful. I also think that my son is finally coming around, and he's gonna be counting popsicles or lollipop sticks for years, and so maybe would you like to move in?
Darlene, I thought you would never ask. This has made me the happiest man in the world.
Bring, bring.
Oh, sorry, Darlene, my phone's ringing. Hello?
Wait, pull over at least first.
Safety. So hold on there. Safety first.
Higgins, is everything okay? It's me. It's Jeffrey. You may know me as Daniel or Betsy or Jordan, but it's Jeffrey now.
Jeffrey, it's good to hear from you. Am I late for a shift?
Higgins, I just want to apologize to you. I've been giving you orders all these years, and I don't know why. You are just an excellent ice cream employee, and I'm sorry that I yelled at you about your clothing and everything else that you did. I remember when you were talking to my mom. That was crazy. Glad that ended a long time ago. Anyways, thanks, Higgins. You're a good pal.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I don't know if anyone's ever apologized to me before.
Well, there's a first for everything, Higgins.
Who is it, Higgy baby?
Jeff.
What was that?
Jeffrey, I'm in the Camaro. You know, I have a fine lady
Higgins,
here.
was that my mom?
Baby.
Higgins, from now on, no more driving the Camaro. Pull out of the Camaro.
I don't know what to do, Darlene.
I'm back, baby!
And it all happened in impetuosity. What'd you guys think?
Oh, I had fun.
Yeah, it was a ride.
Yeah. We got Jeffrey had a nice little arc there. He changed, became, and then right at the end, it was changed back. So it's a good arc to have.
Sure, it's a good arc when you can't think of another arc.
I mean, that's just natural.
I mean, the beautiful love story of Higgins and Darlene.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't beat that.
I liked Higgins' little voice.
For a long time, he was just far away.
In the background.
Yeah.
He was off screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else good that you enjoyed?
You know, really working on those southern accents.
Yeah, everything kind of turns southern a little bit.
Mads, I really like your range of characters and voices. You used every inch of your vocal range.
Exactly.
Thank you. You know, I tried to pull out an Irish accent for the Guinness guy, and then he just turned southern too.
That's a tough one.
I got it in there, but it's hard to come out sometimes.
Yes.
It's not quite there. No, is he? Is he southern again?
No, wait,
Ian.
I've heard you do Irish. You could do it.
I can do it, just maybe not on
He's
air.
like,
Agora.
right, you're going to the park then.
It's me little leprechaun.
I can say leprechaun with an Irish accent. Maybe that's it.
When I was taught the Irish dialect, my director said you always have to find like a trigger phrase that'll get you in there, and it was always for him. It was I don't know, and I no, we have to cut this part. This is terrible. I'll find it, just not right now.
Sorry, Irish friends.
I'm sorry, Irish friends. I promise I can do it better. I'm just not doing it right now.
I can vouch. They can do it better. I've heard it.
Blarney.
Chris, I don't know about Chris.
I can't do it when I'm thinking about it. That's the problem. Is that I think it's much easier when you are just sort of like, well, I'm in it now. I guess I need to keep doing it.
Yeah, but Chris, you're the kind of guy who will just be like, and here's our Australian friend when we're on stage, and I'm like, I've never even tried that in my whole life.
Chris loves his Australian accents.
I do. And Scottish.
Wait, but what's your Australian one? Is it any good?
Do you have a trigger phrase?
Crikey.
Yeah,
Crikey, we threw another shrimp on the barbie. What's that, kangaroo? Got some roos in here?
So,
Pretty good. Now we're just
Real
going around
Steve
flexing.
Irwin.
I don't have any to flex, so.
all right. Well, thanks for playing, guys. And people. Think that we are gonna wrap things up. So
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
listeners.
Go.
Thank you for
enjoy.
listening.
Listeners, plural. Do we know?
There's more than one. I mean, one of the issues is we don't know. I don't think that more people are listening to this than one at a time. So, thank you, listener.
Thank you,
Current
listener.
listener, but there are
like at whatever point in
I
time.
mean, I would
this
hope
is.
not, because I find it to be quite jerky when people are like playing it on a bus, playing music or something. Not necessarily this, but
What
if you
someone's,
are
like,
if
playing
it-
this in their car and like their family's in the car
oh, that's true.
and they're all like commenting on it.
Yeah, that could be.
What if
Although
Commenting on our
mostly when
accidents.
I'm driving with my family, they don't like any of the things that I like to listen to. So podcast wise, so it's my own burden to bear.
Good way to go out.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks again for listening, and catch you next time.